welcome to the Miami Heat Beat podcast. I'm your host, Giancarlo Navas, and with me today on a special Patreon Grab Bag Show edition, we have our Heat Twitter president at the bottom of the screen, Alf.
What's up?
Exciting
drip drop or something. I don't know what to say. I don't have.
No, today's not a drip drop. That's a drip drop. Is you guys. Yeah, drip drop is you guys. We are not a drip drop show. We are a basketball professional show. Shout out to Chad.
I'm still drinking though, so.
There you go. What are you drinking tonight, Alf?
I'm actually having spring vodka.
There you go. Okay, so no dark liquor today.
No, I saved that for light skin opinions, which there's a whole lot behind that. I just want to get into it.
Which, by the way, check out Light Skin Opinions. That's Alf's other podcast who he hosts with Parrish and Maddox. You can also have heard them on some occasional Hangover Times, which is our postgame show, which Alf also hosts. So check out LSO. Their YouTube channel is amazing. If you go to our YouTube channel, you can find it right there. There's a link there. And we are welcoming in our friend of the show from Locked On Heat, David Ramil.
Hey, how's it going?
We're doing good, David. It's been a while since you've been on. I know we've been trying to get you on for a while, but our schedules have been tough. I know that sometimes we record too early or too late, but you're here.
I am. Looking forward to it. I've never been on the Twitch. What is this? I don't know.
This is Twitch. Yeah, we're on Twitch. And
I don't know what it is either yet, David. I have no idea.
It's profitable. That's all we know. It's been profitable. And if you're a podcast listener and you want to get in on this Twitch conversation, join us live every podcast. You can follow us at MIA Heat Beat on Twitter, where we post how live we are and who's on for the show. And we're on twitch.tv/MIA Heat Beat every postgame, pregame, and podcast. So a lot of content here. Today's a special day. So we're going to talk about kind of the Heat and the Raptors and what happened with that game, because that was a really big win for Miami. But we're also going to do our Patreon Grab Bag Show, which is we have a patreon.com/Miami Heat Beat, where people can kind of claim some prizes if you want to contribute to us financially in any way you could support us, because we appreciate it and we love y'all. So we're gonna be taking some questions from our Patreon page. You guys dictate the topics, you guys commented, we're gonna do that. I do want to get into the game from last night, David, because I think other than the Lakers game, this is their biggest win of the season. That Buck game, everything has gone wrong since that win against the Bucks. Nothing has really gone right for them until Jimmy Butler came back. And I thought that game last night, they won. They looked good while winning. You can't say like the Laker game that like, oh wow, the fourth quarter they fell apart, they didn't look great, oh whatever, no AD. You know, you can kind of reel off the excuses, or as ESPN called them, a depleted Laker team. Right. Toronto at full strength. Their guys played well. And Miami legit played great on both ends. And nothing felt unsustainable, David. Like, I thought that was their second best win of the season easily.
It's kind of anticlimactic in a sense that they didn't have much of the hype about it. It might have been the kind of win that in seasons past, especially last season, would have been sort of ho-hum, right? It's not knocking off a great opponent. The Raptors are solid, but clearly not in the top of the Eastern Conference. It's not the same thing as facing a depleted Lakers team or any other kind of rival, so to speak. And, you know, Raptors matchups in general are kind of just sluggish, go into mud kind of affairs, things of that sort. So it doesn't feel like a big win, but it's all, I think, their most complete win. And maybe not exciting, but maybe this is the version of the Heat that they are this season. Not necessarily as exciting as they have been in years past, and just kind of trying to inch their way towards some semblance of the team that went to the playoffs last year. But overall, I'd have to agree with you. Just watching that team play, I thought it was really great to see the kind of chemistry offensively that we hadn't seen for most of the season. Defensively, they played well. They got key stops and key moments. It seemed like they always had a knack, as cliche as it might sound, for making the winning play. And shout out Eric Spoelstra, because just every time the Toronto Raptors made a run or found a way to inch their way back into the lead, Miami responded. After they tied the game at 63 all in the third quarter, after they started off with that 10-0 run to kick off the third, Jimmy went on a 5-0 run of his own where he hit a three-pointer and hit two free throws. And then from that point forward, Miami was able to do just enough to outdistance Toronto, despite the fact that Toronto, to their credit, kept coming back. They kept doing everything necessary to try and steal a win, but Miami was able to do enough because they were playing much more cohesively than they have for most of the season.
Alf, dudes that we've slandered, like Kendrick Nunn and Andre Iguodala, played really well, right? Like Jimmy hit some threes, and shout out to Troppy Baby in the chat, Alex Toledo, our professional screw up. He's saying that he's surprised that I'm not calling this unsustainable because of Jimmy and Andre threes. Glad you mentioned that, because Alf, dog, I mean, we've been killing Andre. We've been talking all sorts of shit about how bad the offense is when he plays, And I like what Bomani Jones says about players like that. Like, dude just keeps pulling them jacks, man. Like when you need it.
Well, I mean, I don't think I've slandered Andre. What I've said is they rely too heavily on Andre. Andre can give you this game every 3 or 4 games. You just should be playing like 25, 30 minutes. Like he should not be your backup 4. I don't think that's slander. I think Andre would agree. I think Andre would be like, you guys are fucking killing me here.
Shit's hard.
I mean, they don't have more than one night off between games. Like I said, I was on the Dishes and Dimes pregame show, and I said, like, in an ideal world, like, he would play, like, every third day. But so you're going to get these performances out of him from time to time. But I don't care what anybody says. Nobody felt good anytime you released one of those threes. I hold my breath every time. And I'm like, no, yes. Every single time. But, yeah, like, he stepped up. And then Nunn, I mean, we got to stop. I mean, at some point, we have to just sit here and admit that Nunn has probably been their best offensive player for 2 weeks.
Yeah. No, I will not. That Jimmy and Bam, Jimmy.
Maybe not best in terms of overall production, but maybe perhaps most important, maybe because his role.
He's been their third best player for the last 2 weeks.
Thriving the way he has over that stretch, it's like unlocked part of the offense that was missing. Yes. Yeah, they still have their stretches where they struggle, but overall, his ability to drive and kick, and now that he's implementing some semblance of playmaking into his game, I mean, hell, he had 7 assists yesterday. The shot wasn't falling, and he's still making plays for others. And I noticed
the last 2 games, that's 16 assists and 1 turnover, I believe.
I know, yeah. I mean, it's phenomenal. Like this is not a version.
None that we've known.
Yeah. And I mean, look, we've all talked about him being one-dimensional and limited, and of course, it kind of played out that way when he wasn't getting any minutes in the bubble. But now you look at him, and he's solid defensively, even if the numbers don't exactly bear that out. At least he gives effort, and now that he's been able to make plays for others, if he can continue to kind of wedge that into his obvious scoring tendencies, that's a really solid player. I don't know what to do with him now. I mean, the questions always seem like whenever they come up now, it's like, what do we do? Do we trade, sell while he's high, or sell high and things of that sort? It's like, just appreciate the fact that he's playing well. I don't know. That's just my opinion, I guess.
I don't. You said he's been playing. I do agree that he's trying a lot harder on defense. Like that Golden State game, I saw him fight through more screens in a single game than I have in his entire career combined. Yeah. Not a good defender. He's still playing good defense, but to your point, he's giving the effort. Where, I mean, at times, like, he was a complete turnstile.
Die on a screen there,
Yeah. Oh, my God. I've never seen it. I've never seen somebody just wither on screens the way Kendrick Nunn will. But he's been fighting through those, and I think it's because his minutes got taken. He was losing minutes to Gabe Vincent at one point this year.
Deservedly so.
Yes, absolutely. And I think he saw what happened. And listen, nothing's going to be given to an undrafted guy. You may have started the first half of the last season, but you played like dog shit since 2020 rolled over. And, now he has to earn his minutes back. And I think he's done a really good job. We have to give him his props.
I think that Spo. Oh, go, David.
No. Well, please, let me hear it.
I think Spo kind of we were always questioning like why he had such a long leash with Spo. Like he would play like really bad for a month, and we're like, why has he not lost his rotation spot yet? And finally, when he lost it for a while, and now he's come back and he's looked incredible. And sometimes guys need that kick in the ass. And I think, part of their success recently has been obviously Jimmy's come back. Since Jimmy's come back, they have the 3rd best record in the damn league. They're 9-5 since Jimmy's come back. So since January 30th against the Kings, their best record only behind Utah and Phoenix.
And 2 of those losses they should have won. I mean,
yeah.
Well, I mean, like that Warriors loss, I said it a bunch. Like they were a quarter away from, this feeling a lot different.
They were half a quarter away. They were 6 minutes away.
They were a couple Kent Bazemore cuts away. Like it's pretty crazy. Like how Alf, do you remember how bad we felt after that game?
I still feel bad after that game. I still don't feel great about this team. Like, and I know I'm probably letting Ryan Cortez down, the minister of Heat propaganda.
It it was a West Coast road trip. You know, it was the fact that adding salt to the wound, we were all staying up till 1 o'clock in the morning and watching them shit the bed at the last minute. That was particularly frustrating. Like, you're staying awake and you're hoping at least they're going to come away with a victory, and then they wind up just crapping all over themselves. And it just adds extra levels of frustration to the whole thing.
David, I was so tired.
In the chat, he's disappointed at you.
Who?
Ryan Cortez is in chat saying what's good.
Listen, you let me on that pirate ship and I'll help you out with those doubters over there. But besides that, I'm still not super high on this team. I heard they were going back and forth with Whittingham today. I'm like, man, that's my wheelhouse. I've been battling Whittingham since about 2012 on Twitter. Let's go.
I mean, you made a career out of bullying Whittingham, let's be honest.
With his fucking spreadsheets. I was the original nerd versus I started the whole nerd NBA analyst beef back in 2012. He literally, I remember he made a spreadsheet of Heat playoff odds at one point. Like, he created
That's where the spreadsheet joke started.
Yeah, that's when it started. So I started that shit, Master Tez or whatever his name is.
Whoever that is. I don't know. Do you know who that is? David, do you know who that was?
I saw videos. First time I ever seen him.
I have never seen him before. I've seen the Twitter handle on occasion as a so-called NBA expert, but I guess we all fit into that same category too, and I'm sure he doesn't know who we are. So I guess it's
very, very, very politically correct.
Cortez says Whittingham was 7 years old in 2012, and you might have a point.
So, kind of speaking of spreadsheets, so since Jimmy's come back, since January 30th,
I knew you were going this. I'm in part of the same group chat as you are, so I saw that you were already asking for this kind of offensive information. I was waiting for you to bring it up.
Yeah, no, I'm excited, and that's going to be like the second prong to this. But their defense is top 5. They're third in wins and win percentage in that time. Like I said, behind Utah and Phoenix. They're fifth in defense, and their offense is up to 20. Now, they were bottom of the league before, so they've really crept up and they've improved every game. And we're laughing, but that matters. Kendrick Nunn matters. They've really changed the calculus on themselves. By the way, they're one of the top 10 net rating teams since then. So they're playing well. They're 10th in net rating. They're outscoring opponents by 2.3 points per 100 possessions. Which, man, let me tell you, that shit feels good because they were getting their ass kicked by everybody, by every bad team, by every depleted team, like actual teams that were depleted, right? Like the Clippers that like literally were starting their third stringers that nobody has ever heard of. Like they were getting their ass kicked by those teams, and they were depleted going up against Philly and the Nets with fucking Bam and a bunch of nobodies, right? A bunch of two-way players, which is it sucks because they played hard, but.
What's the name of that coffee in the Clippers? The coffee guy who had a career high after leaving the Orlando bubble just hours earlier. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, by the way, shout out to
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
For the tier 1 sub, and shout out to Curtis's Hero for the gifted tier 1 sub. Shout out to Reclops for the gift 1 sub. We appreciate that kind of support. No, so I just wanted to talk like since Jimmy's come back, Alf, they've been a really good basketball team.
They've also played a lot of bad teams, and I'm not trying to rain on the parade, right?
Well, come on, man.
There you are.
I'm sorry.
That's exactly what you're doing.
I'm trying to be realistic. Like 4 in a row, 3 of those wins were against bad teams or depleted teams like the Lakers.
Fuck that. That Laker win was good.
And that Raptors win, to me, the Raptors win is the best win of the season. Because it comes at a time where after a 3-game winning streak, we all still had our doubts. And they went in against an Eastern Conference foe. They did what they had to do, and like it was super impactful in the standings. Like they went from like the 7th in one night, because as other teams are losing. But that was one of the first times they went against a team and they weren't supposed to win. I mean, it could have been a good game, and they just actually pulled it out. Like it gives you a lot of confidence. What I will say is I'm not super high on them, but they are hitting their stride at the right time going into this All-Star break and with a chance to get healthy. If they can maintain this and stay around a 5th or 6th seed going into the second half of the season with a healthy Goran Dragic, I mean, who wants to face the Heat?
Nobody.
I don't believe that. I mean, shout out to my man Cortez. The Sixers are a bunch of frauds. I don't believe in that team for a minute. The Nets scare me a little bit because they've started to learn how to play a little bit of defense. But
Harden's not going to play in the playoffs. Don't worry, he sucks.
But I asked Ramil, like, are you afraid of who in the East? If the Heat are healthy, who are you afraid of in the East?
If they stand pat and don't make any changes whatsoever, even a small change around the fringes, I'd say the Nets are the team that scares me the most. They've been my title favorites for the whole season, and I feel pretty consistent about that. Even before they added Harden, I still looked at that collection of talent, and I thought, you know, they would find a way to pull it together. Adding Harden just changed the calculus completely, and now they look unstoppable offensively, and defensively they'll start to figure it out. So yeah, that's my big concern. The Bucks, obviously not. The Sixers, I think Bam can limit even this version of Embiid that we're seeing this season. Simmons is a fraud. I mean, their shooting is legitimate, but other than that, I don't give a damn about Ben Simmons. Like, everybody talks about him like he's like some MVP level player just because he's 6'10" or whatever the hell. It's like, he can't do anything. If you can't shoot beyond 5 feet, screw you. You're not an NBA player, in my opinion. You know, shout out Dwight Howard too. So
coming firing Ramil. I love it.
Spice. Check that out on Locked On.
Yeah, that's about it, right? Anybody else
subscribe to Locked On real quick? I've been fucking sleeping.
Yeah, rate that shit 5 stars. I mean,
I'm already subscribed.
David, I love that you didn't even mention the Celtics, because I see them way at the bottom of the standings at 9.
2 All-Stars.
So 2 All-Stars over there. I mean,
let's not go into the All-Star thing. The Celtics.
Fuck out of here.
No, they don't scare me either. I'm not concerned about the All-Star game either. I know, Alf, you had some tweets about that, but I am not.
I care.
You seem upset about the whole thing, right? Like, why?
Oh,
why
no, I don't care.
Okay.
I care. I care about someone like fucking Vooch and the Celtics. The Heat have been unfairly punished for their poor record.
Yes.
And then you look around the league. I mean, if the Heat Bam is being punished, this team's record, why isn't Vooch being punished? Why isn't Jaylen Brown,
they've gone through more the Magic have. Like, they've lost significant number of players to season-ending injuries. Like,
season-ending, but I mean,
look, I love Vooch. Look, I mean, living in Gainesville and covering the Magic for as long as I did, and covering the NBA from Orlando, like, Vucevic is a hell of a player. I've got a soft spot for him.
He's
good.
Yes. Like, why would you live in
Gainesville? Is a fun. I would move there. No, I would move there in a heartbeat to move back to Gainesville.
Like, people live there.
Yeah, I'd prefer living in Gainesville than Miami. That's for sure.
I thought people just went there for college.
I'd kick you off if you weren't my guest. I'd fucking kick you off.
I've had this discussion with Christian, and I don't get why people love Miami. Like, to me,
you have had this discussion.
That's right. You're right. You're the
worst.
I don't get it.
You're the worst. I don't want to rehash old things. By the way, shout out to Kiamin and Alf for 10 gifted subs between them. We love our community, and one of those gifted subs found their way to Dos Minutos. Which, by the way, Alf, we have a little something with Dos Minutos of the Deuces Podcast Network planned for this weekend. Do you want to loop people in on what's going on with that?
Yes, and we'll be promoting it all day tomorrow. We are we're joining up with Healthy Mothers, Healthy Babies of West Palm Beach or Palm Beach County. They are an amazing organization. Go on their website, Healthy Mothers, Healthy Babies. They provide a lot of like free prenatal care, formula, doctor's appointments. Like, they help a lot of lower income families and lower income mothers help guide their way through pregnancy and the time and the days after, the months after pregnancy. Like, they're just a support group, totally free for these women. If you know anything about infant mortality rates in the Black and brown and lower income communities, like, a huge problem for a country as developed as America is. Like, it's one of the biggest shames of this country, and Healthy Mothers, Healthy Babies actually addresses that at a community level. I've been in their offices. Like, I've seen what they do. It's amazing. So tomorrow on Hangover Time, we are doing the drip drop drinking game, and that's when the community comes out, shows out. We get the most subs on those nights. We are donating 100% of every dollar we make tomorrow night to Healthy Mothers, Healthy Babies, because they're doing a Basket for Babies challenge in the month of March. Dos Minutos, if you guys know him from Twitter, he's hilarious. He's going to actually be on the show, and most people don't know what he looks like. So you're going to be able to see what Dos Minutos actually looks like. He's going to explain. He works with Healthy Mothers, Healthy Babies. He's on the board of directors. He's in charge of this whole Basket for Babies thing, and we're going to explain to you the program. It's kind of a crowdfunding thing. We're going to get Heat Twitter involved. We're going to get Miami Heat Beat and all the fans of Heat Beat, Hangover Time, the Weird Al pregame show. We're all going to get involved, and we're donating everything that we make tomorrow to Healthy Mothers, Healthy Babies. So Twisted Tapioca, put your credit card away for the night. Bring it back tomorrow night. We are going to try to raise as much money as humanly possible. They've already raised $30,000. So shout out to Dos Minutos for this. Like, this is amazing. And we're going to do our little part in our little corner of Heat Twitter. Miami Heat Beat is, whenever we've asked you guys to show up and show out, you have. For Nikias Duncan, for our friend Oscar, when they had tragedies with their houses burning down, like, you guys have always shown up. We're just asking you guys to once again show up and help out a really, really great cause. You guys donated like $1,000 to my mother's charity one time because it was her birthday. Like, you guys are amazing. and Dose was one of the people that donated the most. So please check us out tomorrow after the game. We're gonna have a great time. We're doing shots for subs, and basically we're helping out a great cause tomorrow night. So tune in.
If I can echo in there, I just want to say what a fantastic cause it is, because just as a father of a toddler, not having that kind of support group and knowing the challenges of trying to raise a child, I mean, as a single parent or even in a 2-income household, like, it's so difficult. You're just trying to navigate all the different things that come with childhood and parenting, from learning sleep schedules and trying to keep them safe from the world around them. I mean, that there's a resource for people like this is it's a great thing. It's heartwarming. So absolutely, I echo Alf's words. Donate if you possibly can.
We're really excited, and
like Thank
I
you,
said, Dose is.
It's gonna be a lot of fun tomorrow. I'm gonna be super drunk helping a charity. It's actually kind of like my dream.
That's the best. That's the best.
Let's help people and get fucked up. What a great cause. Okay, so pivoting back to the Heat. I want to get to some stuff about their offense really quick, and then I'm going to pivot to our Patreon questions for the rest of the show. So, David, I want to pose this question to you, and this has kind of been the one metric I've been looking at since basically their season has gone sideways, like officially, like when they're losing all these games and they drop 1 million games under 500. And I'm like, how the fuck can the Heat fix this? Like, what can they do? What trends can I look at that make me feel better when they're whole? Because they haven't been whole. And one of the biggest caveats is, well, when they're healthy, what are they going to look like? Because before it looked kind of suspect, but they were dealing with knick-knack injuries. Jimmy had a fucked up ankle and everything. The Heat, when Jimmy Butler and Goran Dragic sit, when they don't play, that means when their two primary scorers / ball handlers are not on the court, they're getting outscored by 13 points per 100 possessions, and the offense is at a 100 offensive rating, which is just abysmal. When Jimmy's on, Goran off, their offense is good, and they're outscoring opponents by 5. When Goran's on, Jimmy off, their offense is elite, and they're outscoring opponents by 2. So, David, I ask you, now that Goran's back, and we saw they have that second ball handler, that second playmaker, and when Jimmy rests, they have another guy on the court that can run offense and get them into sets. I look at this and I say, I don't know if the Heat are going to get to the 10th best offense or the 7th like they were last season, but I certainly think that this bodes well for them, that they can get up to league average at minimum if they're healthy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's a question in there, but I'm looking at that
do you
team.
agree?
Do I agree? Yeah, I think so. I thought that's been the problem all along, is that you were missing the guy who was our leading scorer for most of the playoffs. Like, everybody seems to forget how potent Goran can be when he's engaged and healthy and everything else. And I know that's been difficult because those moments have been very few and far between since the bubble. But hey, I mean, he's a really solid player. Like, even in the minutes that he got yesterday, his first game back after missing, was it 3 weeks, 9 games in total that he's missed, looked really good. And I know his shot wasn't falling, but I went back and looked at all of those shots that he took. For the most part, he was just looking to get everybody going. He had a really good flow to his offense in general. I thought he looked really comfortable shooting from the perimeter. I think he's a really good player. I don't think there's any way of saying it otherwise.
Hot take.
Yeah, I mean, and so when you're missing a player like that, of course it's going to boost your offense. Like, right? I mean, I don't know. Maybe this is overly simplified.
my thing was you have, their offense was legit, David, bottom of the league. They were like at the time the worst offense in the sport when you have Jimmy, Bam, and Duncan and Dragic. And I'm like, how is this possible? And part of that has been health, and part of that has been bad shooting. But part of that has been they don't have other ball handlers, and their two main ball handlers have never been healthy at the same damn time.
Yeah, I mean
that's sorry.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this, and part of the problem is that you rely so heavily on a Goran Dragic, which is why I'm not super high on the team this year, because I just don't see him being healthy enough for long enough for it to make a big enough of a difference. Now, this reemergence of Kendrick Nunn, if you hope that he can sustain it, if he can, that kind of mitigates some of the problems that you have when Goran isn't around. But if Kendrick Nunn reverts to his old self and you're relying on Goran Dragic to be healthy, this, it's scary hours for this team, right? Like, this is just it's not a recipe for success.
Can Avery Bradley chip in there? I mean, once he eventually comes back.
Offensively, can he?
He can. Look, he was playing alongside LeBron last year, but I mean, he wasn't exactly expected to bring the ball up or initiate offense. But I mean, he's a competent ball handler. Maybe he's not one that you want to rely on too heavily, but is he an upgrade over Gabe Vincent? Is he at the same? Yeah, he at the same level as a Kendrick Nunn, perhaps, and helping be another secondary ball handler. I think a contributing factor, if nothing else.
So my favorite thing when Jimmy was out, when Jimmy missed time, Avery Bradley in the starting lineup was to me was the answer, because he just gave you another defender on the perimeter, and he was competent bringing up the ball, and it really, really helped Tyler Herro out. But as soon as they started getting that flow, Avery Bradley went out, and then they were without both of those guys, and Jimmy came back. So it was just it's been a mess. Like, we don't know. I mean, to your point, David, like, we don't even know what they look like with a healthy Avery Bradley. We just don't know, because they haven't had all these guys at the same time.
Goran, by the way, playing a career low minutes as a starter, as well as Jimmy. So, I mean, I think that they're doing a good job of managing their minutes. And while they depend on them a lot for production, I'm glad that they're not like playing them into the ground. The other thing I really wanted to mention, which I thought was interesting, was the Heat's half-court offense isn't as bad as I thought it'd be. They're 17th in the league in half-court offense. They're at 96 points per play. It's a fancy way. It doesn't sound very good. You'd think, 96 not very good. 17th in the league. So half-court offense tends to not be the best. The Lakers, for example, are much worse than them. They're 28th in the league. And there's a lot of other teams that are good offensive teams that have bad kind of half-court offenses. So the Heat half-court offense has improved since Jimmy's come back. They've gone from 27th or 20th to 17th. So that's been really positive for them. And I think that's one of the trends that we got to watch. So, like, there's a couple things I like kind of monitoring. I think monitoring kind of those Dragic without Jimmy minutes is one of the things to monitor. How are the Heat winning those minutes? Because they win all the Jimmy minutes. The other thing, and I tweeted this earlier, which I thought Alf was a really funny stat. When Anthony Davis and LeBron James are on the court together, the Lakers are plus 14 net rating in 517 minutes. That is dominant. That is the two best. Like, that's the best tandem in the NBA, and they are absolutely crushing teams for a team that was second in the conference overall. Jimmy and Kelly Olynyk, it's the same net rating in almost the same amount of minutes. That's funny, dude.
Can we talk about the fact that no matter how poorly he's playing, the Heat are consistently better when Kelly Olynyk's on the floor?
I think it has to do with just the stretch big aspect of it.
But I swear, like, Ramil, you see it on the timeline all the time. Like, people are bagging on Kelly, and don't get me wrong, I am one of them, because a 7-footer like himself should be able to rebound decently. But the Heat are just better when he's playing. Whether he's hitting the shot or not.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just part of who Kelly is. Like, he's a skill big, to Yanni's point. I mean, He's a stretch big who can handle the ball and make plays for others. It just kind of unlocks an aspect of your offense that you don't have if you put in a Precious, or I mean, there aren't any other options. And Mo Harkless certainly isn't going to fit the bill. So I mean, I don't know. I don't think he's as bad defensively as everybody wants to make it out to be. I know it sounds kind of reductive, but I feel like you're looking at a 7-foot tall guy that's white with long hair and a 1990s era goatee, and you kind of dismiss him as an NBA ball player when in fact that's the case, right?
He looks like an extra from Clerks,
right? Yeah. He's part of the USQ verse, Shout out Keith Smith, or Kevin Smith, sorry, not Keith Smith. So it's anyway, it's just like he's a really good player in my opinion. And I know he struggles, and I know the inconsistency issues with him are going to be something that dog him throughout his career, because he just has those stretches where he's incredible from the perimeter and he seems like he's a much better scorer, and then all of a sudden he just tapers off completely. But I don't think his skill set is ever so bad where he can't contribute positively. And I mean, the numbers bear it out, if nothing else, right? Maybe it doesn't tell the full story, but he's a good player and he plays well and he helps Miami's offense.
What I will say is both him and Duncan have done some things in the last few weeks where they're not just sitting around the perimeter. Yes. They're cutting. Yes. They're getting into the paint, and both Kelly and Duncan they went one game where they were 11 for 11 in the paint, the two of them. Those are the kind of things they can do to help the team, especially Kelly is such a big guy who's such a perimeter threat. I mean, they're playing him close. If he can cut to the basket a little bit more, fake fake the pick and roll to the basket, like he can get easy shots around the rim. I think someone said he's shooting like 84% around the basket.
He's got touch. He's got good touch around the rim. Yeah, I mean, I think he's because he was a guard growing up, and then he just had that growth spurt, and it kind of made him into a big unexpectedly. But so now that's why he's such a good passer and ball handler. Yeah. So, I think that's a great point, and I saw that yesterday, and kind of piggybacking onto our point about Kendrick Nunn is that he had that play there where he found Kelly at the rim because he let the play kind of develop. And so now all of a sudden, if you're seeing more off-ball movement from guys like Duncan and Kelly, and then you've got this playmaking aspect of Kendrick Nunn that's suddenly unlocked, all of a sudden you've got the potential for a really potent offense. If the shooting can find a way to level off to normalcy, I think you're going to see a much better offense in the next few weeks.
Kendrick has been so patient, man.
I'm sorry,
go ahead.
No, go.
He's been patient. It's because he used to, and Tiffany used to always say it on the Postgame Show, he's pressing. The game has slowed down for him in a way where he sees these passing lanes, he sees the driving lanes. It seems like he's seeing everything a lot more clearly. I don't know if there was remnants of COVID that were holding him back.
Yeah, or I've made that point too. Like, right? I mean, like I always dismiss the COVID talk because it felt like it fit too neatly after he was playing so badly in February before he contracted COVID. It's just like he was not a good player at the point. And all of a sudden, he's struggling to get back into form. It's like, no, his form before sucked too. It wasn't anything related to COVID.
Thank you.
But now I'm starting to say maybe that was just maybe it was something impacting. Like we're seeing what's happening in Boston with Tatum and other players where they're struggling to get their conditioning back. And maybe it did impact. Maybe the confidence that we all expect from Kendrick Nunn, maybe it took a hit because he just wasn't able to do the same things physically that he had been at the start of last year when nobody was expecting to. And look, he had to make an adjustment too. I mean, nobody had him in the scouting books. Nobody really knew what to expect from him. And then they start being able to lock him in there. And at the same time, then he gets COVID. It was just a recipe for disaster. And shout out to him for finding a way to figure it out.
I think the biggest thing that he contributes to them is he has a legitimate floater in the lane that, I mean, especially before Goran came back, nobody has that. And a lot of times when their plays break down and when teams do that little switchy thing off their handoff, and by the way, somebody in chat asked, did the Heat lead the league in handoffs? The Heat lead the league in handoffs by almost like 80 possessions. The next place is Detroit. So Miami leads the league with 337 possessions. And their points per possession on it hasn't been very good. So like when teams are switching that little action, and that's a lot of Miami's pet plays kind of come from that, or their pistol stuff, or their horn stuff, or that split action that they run for Duncan. You know, they need a guy to get downhill to put pressure on the drop man. And Kendrick, will always play with a cushion because teams defend him to give him the pull-up jumper. He's quick to get it, and he could do it. He could pull up. He's almost, not to compare him to Russell Westbrook, but he always has the pull-up jumper like Russell Westbrook has it, because he's quick, because he's good at getting into it, and he has a quick trigger. He has issues, I think, getting to the rim and yeah, and he's I think he's a I think he's an average to good spot up shooter. I don't think you can ever. I mean, he had that one stretch where he was like shooting 40% last season, but that really tailed off and he shot 35%. Which honestly, if he's gonna give you 35, 36, 37%, I think that you take that, and that's awesome. And he does. Like, I feel like it's a lot of bailout plays. Like, they're late in the shot clock and he's bailing them out because he's a legitimate offensive threat off the dribble because he can hit that floater. He's a good finisher. He has that mean left hand dunk. When he gets to the rim.
I love that. What I've been saying it a lot, that the Heat's offense a lot of times a lot of smoke and mirrors because they don't have guys.
Funhouse.
Yeah, exactly. It's just dribble handoff cuts. I mean, doing a bunch of stuff in a phone booth and then spread out and hopefully somebody breaks free. When that shit doesn't work, the Heat's offense looks really bad. One of the guys, there's 3 guys on this team that can make something out of nothing when that happens. 4 guys, actually. It's Tyler, Kendrick, Jimmy, and Goran. Goran's been out. Tyler's hurt. Kendrick looked like a shell of himself up until 2 weeks ago. So it was like all on Jimmy. And that's why the offense would just go through these lulls, like where they were scoring 40 points in the second half or, 19 points or 17 points in a quarter, because if it just wasn't working, like they didn't have anything else to go to. What you're seeing in the last few games, the last couple of weeks, Kendrick, like you said, when all that stuff breaks down, it's 8 seconds left in the shot clock. Kendrick can beat somebody off the dribble and shoot that floater in the lane, shoot a mid-range, catch the ball at the 3-point line, hoist it up, and, you have a pretty good feeling about it going in. It's not an Andre Iguodala and shot clock 3-pointer where we're all like, holy shit, what is going on? So, yeah, I think he does provide a lot of, I always call him, I feel like John Crotty here. It's what I always call him relief points. Like, just like, holy shit.
Relief situations.
Yeah, like relief situations. Like
butter situations.
Because remember how Bosch used to do that for us so much?
Yeah. When Dwayne would get stuck up in the air and he didn't know who to pass it to, there was a wide open Chris who would say, "No, don't worry about it. I got this.
I'm going to save your ass at the end of the shot clock."
All right.
And Kendrick's providing a little bit of that this year.
Totally. And I think ideally you want that to be Bam, and I think that's why you kind of like that he has a jumper in his bag now. He has that one little dribble pull up.
It's tapered off though.
He doesn't take it as much. I think that's a part of it. I do think that's been good because he's been trying to go to the rim more, and that has been a sight to see. I mean, yesterday in short roll situations, I think that's been one of the biggest adjustments. It's that Duncan is really reading that double quicker, and he's slipping him that pass. And I think part of that's on Bam, that Bam is slipping quicker. He's kind of understanding, okay, they're going to double. And it took him long enough, but they're here. And when he's doing that, when it's Bam and then the help is coming, he picks that shit apart. I mean, he's throwing it to that corner man, and they're flying. Or, I mean, he's Eurostep. You saw that? He Eurostepped the dude and had like a fancy like reverse finish. I was like, damn, he's getting dunks. He's living in the paint, and that's what you love. That's going to change their offense.
He's been feeding off of Kendrick's actions. Like, he has been – the Kendrick Bam connection.
Those lobs are nice. That's another thing he's good at. He's good at floaters.
That didn't
lobs.
Exist last year.
No,
I'm sorry. I saw Will Manso get into it with Danny Martinez on the timeline. Ramil, I don't know if you. Shout out to both of them. I love them. Manso's going to be on with us next week on Hangover Time.
Nicest man on earth.
But the best. Ramil, I don't know if you saw it, but they were getting into it because Manso was saying that, Kendrick's become a better passer. What we're saying right now, and Martinez hit him with all the stats. It was like nerd versus eye test, like Armageddon on the timeline. It was hilarious.
I didn't see that. I didn't see that. That sounds pretty funny though.
But
I had a question though about Goran, if I can interject. Sorry. Like,
go ahead.
Yeah.
Is that flip shot he was taking yesterday, he took it like on a number of occasions. Has he tweaked his form or something like that? Or is he just changing? Like he's always had a floater, but now he's got this like weird little flip shot that to me just hasn't looked normal. And maybe it was just because I was rewatching it without the context of watching the game as it's happening. But does it seem odd to you, or has that just been always part of his arsenal? I've just never noticed it before, which is entirely possible.
I think you haven't noticed, but also like when guys' forms look weird coming off of injury, I think that's their legs aren't like under them yet, and sometimes they do different things when they're not getting the lift that they're used to and stuff like that. So I think it's something to monitor for sure. I didn't notice it in particular, but we keep on the lookout for that.
I
do want to pivot to our Patreon questions because we have a big support group over there. And by the way, patreon.com/Miami Heat Beat. We do a lot of things. We do watch parties with our patrons. We're planning one. I'm going to plan one for next week. Again, they're a lot of fun. We just hang out in our Discord chat and we talk and we watch basketball. It's great. We're trying to schedule our $50 patrons to appear on Hangover Time and the Heat Beat pregame show. We're waiting on a couple of responses for that. And also another one of our tiers is our newsletter, which it's going out on Monday. So be on the lookout for that if you're a part of the newsletter tier. One of the tiers is
there's going to be some new content from Hangover Time. We in the MHB chat we like to call Hangover Time HOT hot. We're going to start posting 2 hot for hot. Where the 10 minutes of debauchery that usually happens after Hangover Time is going to be posted to the Patreon site. So you guys will be getting extra Hangover Time content. Most of it is wildly inappropriate and it should not be broadcasted. So it will be for Patreons only. And that's going to be a lot of fun. We've always said some of the best stuff that happens on Hangover Time happens after the broadcast is over. So we will be recording that now to the chagrin of one Tiffany Meeks. And we will be providing that to patrons and patrons only.
So today what we're going to do is we're going to read some of the questions on our Patreon grab bag. So you guys pick the topics and we talk about them. I didn't expect the Heat to be on a 4-game winning streak today, so we took a bit of the show on the front end. But I do want to get to these questions because they're really good, and we want to support our patrons. So first one comes from Curtis Herro. You can see him in chat all the time. He's always supporting. Jimmy Butler, second year into his Heat run. Where does he rank among all-time Heat players? Where does he project, assuming he finishes his career here? How long do we expect his prime to go? What type of players fit next to him? Discuss his play style and changes since arriving in Miami. I think we need more Jimmy appreciation. I love that he said that because I was talking to a friend today. Like, Jimmy is sheer power of will. It's watching someone who shouldn't be this good, yet he is, and it's like his jumper's not good. Let's just be honest. It's never been good. His pull-up numbers aren't good. No arc, but fuck. It's like he is willing himself and he pulls up strong. He goes to the rim hard. He's getting contact. The dude's attitude is just amazing on the bench. Like, he's always, I don't know. He's always like laughing, smiling, joking, and always like in control. He's like the coolest motherfucker ever.
And then when the whistle blows, he's a fucking maniac. I love, like, as soon like the whistle blows, if the play stops and he's smiling, laughing, the whistle blows again, and he's a psycho.
But I will say maybe it was in context of against the Lakers and watching Alex Caruso and LeBron like cry over every whistle. Like, Jimmy doesn't work the refs at the same way. Like, he gets a lot of foul calls and maybe some people don't like his style of play because of it. But overall, I feel like he more appeals to them just based on some good nature or knowing that if he's going to talk shit, it's because he's so competitive. He's not whining all the fucking time the way Caruso and LeBron does.
Ramil, he doesn't do that kick the head back thing.
Oh,
that
the Kemba Walker.
Oh.
Yeah, the Jeremy Lin.
Kemba Walker.
Oh my God, it's so that I hate that basketball. I can't stand watching it. But to the question, I think when it's all said and done, Jimmy Butler is going to be a top 5 or 6 Heat player of all time.
Rowan Nodkarney already came on my show and he told me the same thing, that he thinks he's already top 5 if anything else.
I mean
it's hard to kind of separate.
He's more beloved than Bosh? You think he finishes more beloved than Chris Bosh?
No,
I think that's the guy.
Maybe
because like I think Zoe and Dwayne are pretty untouchable. I think
he replaces LeBron.
That's not hard though.
Yeah,
right. But that's it. That's like it's.
Are we sure? I mean, I'm pretty sure Chalmers has replaced LeBron in most people's minds.
No, I mean, you're talking about like hardcores really love. Mario Chalmers, but I don't think the standard fan feels the same way about Mario that most of us do. But yeah, he's replaced LeBron, I think, as far as the top 5 is concerned. And I mean, certainly the fact that it came
title.
Oh,
it's over. And not to mention, he's just Heat culture personified. I've said this before, and I got backlash about it. I said he is a more fitting superstar for the Miami Heat than Dwayne Wade was.
Totally.
Dwayne Wade was flashy and fun and exciting.
Hollywood.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler is grinded out, gritty, will bite your face off. Like he's a different kind of cat.
Salts.
Like, it's honestly like it's like if Pat Riley could mold a shooting guard, small forward, he would mold Jimmy Butler because he already molded a center, and his name was Alonzo Mourning, and he molded the power forward, and it was Udonis Haslem. And then so if he was going to mold a small forward, it would be Jimmy Butler. So I do think he goes down as a top 5 Heat player if he's not there already.
Yeah, Curtis's question though about like how long can we expect his prime to go? I don't think we've got long though. I mean, maybe this year, maybe the next. I mean, there's an argument to be made that given his struggles with the jumper, maybe he's already out of his prime. And I know it's kind of hard to make that statement based on the performances that we just saw in the finals and the fact that he's so efficient and gets to the line as much as he does.
He's averaging a triple-double, David.
Would you seriously though, do you look at him and say that this is quote unquote I'm Jimmy Butler?
I think right now
I think we're at the end. We're at the latter half of his prime.
It's going to be a sharp decline though, and I think without a consistent jumper, it's going to be worse for him. I don't think he has the same. I think it's going to be worse at Dwayne. I don't think he has.
I don't know. Does he rely on athleticism that much?
No, but
moves
Dwayne had
Dwayne
had a savvy about how he moved off ball.
Oh, but Jimmy does too. Hold on, wait a second. Jimmy is as good.
When is he ever
navigator.
off ball? When is he off ball? He's got the ball in his hands almost all the time. Man, he's like the primary.
But he's not a cutter off ball.
He's not the same.
Yeah,
it's not the same. No, I don't think
he
so.
Is.
I disagree.
They run a lot of sets. Like they'll screen for pistol with Duncan, and that's a playoff set that they run. Where in the corner Jimmy will screen and then he'll start rolling and he'll cut. When Bam has more kind of top of the key possessions, Jimmy is always cutting. So what they'll do is, and they did this a lot in the Warrior game, Duncan will come screen for Bam on the right side, and then Bam will kind of go to the rim with the Duncan screen, so he has a small on him. And what Jimmy does is Jimmy's on the weak side 3-point line, and he's cutting in. So Bam now has an option as a dump off pass, which he's really good at on the move, and he did that. If you remember, to Daniel Tice in Game 6, right? That's something that they like. They get Bam going to the rim from that right side, and they have Jimmy cutting from the left side in. So now you have Duncan behind you, and Duncan's always relocating. I kind of disagree with that. I think he's a really good off-ball mover. He's not Dwayne. I mean, Dwayne's like.
I think partly what me and Ramil might be seeing is the fact that Jimmy has to have the ball in his hands a lot, and maybe if they had a Kyle Lowry, which somebody brought up in the chat, or if they had a real point guard, we might see some more of that off-ball stuff from Jimmy. But get to another question because I got going in 5 minutes.
So Jade asked, do you think Miami waits until the deadline to make a trade, or do you think it'll happen sooner? Personally, I think they need to focus on getting a 4-5 to play next to Bam. A point guard isn't necessarily the top need. Now, Alf, this is for you because I feel like we've gone back and forth about this.
I think it doesn't necessarily have to be a point guard. It's a creator, and that could come from either the 1, 2, or 3 position. They need somebody, and Kendrick is providing some of that now, but I just don't trust that that's going to be a consistent thing. I don't trust that Goran Dragic is going to stay healthy. And if those two things are things you can't rely on, this team is woefully inadequate when it comes to somebody who can create off the dribble and create for others. So to me, their biggest need is a creator, someone who can get in the lane and, not always pass out to a 3 instead of taking a layup because, Jimmy and Bam have that part handled where they're passing up layups for 3s. But somebody who can break down a defense, some of the stuff that Kendrick's been doing at the end of shot clocks that they just haven't had all year because Goran's down and Kendrick's been inconsistent. So to me, I don't know if that guy's going to be on the buyout market. I don't know if that guy's going to be available for a trade. So I have no idea. Like, honestly, the trade thing this year doesn't make any sense.
They don't make a trade. They're not going to make it.
Yeah.
Wow, what a take, David. That's scorching.
And David, I want to know if you agree with me. I think it's because everybody's in playoff contention.
Yeah. There's so many more teams. The standings are all so up and down. Like I was talking about in yesterday's show, like the Wizards are a couple of games out, and we're talking about the Wizards being as bad as they are, and they're still right there in the thick of things, at least for the play-in tournament. So why would they sell off what Detroit,
Orlando,
Orlando's in
Houston,
it. I mean, if they can get a couple
Minnesota.
wins here.
Orlando's a seller. Get out of here. Orlando knows what they have. Orlando's not.
It's Detroit. Detroit is. That's no. I don't think they're selling. They're not going to sell in Orlando.
Orlando's
no way,
a seller. They're going to break
No,
that
they're
shit
not.
apart. They have too
No,
many
they're
guys
not.
that have value. They're not going to
No,
keep
they
all those
They
guys.
should. It doesn't mean they will.
They're not going
I think you
to.
think they're
like
going to
their
keep
players too
Aaron. I
much.
mean, they have
Hell
guys
yeah,
like
they're
Evan
keeping Aaron
Fournier.
Gordon.
They're going to keep Aaron.
Fournier, they might deal.
I mean, Aaron Gordon's due for a payday. I don't know how much they want to do that. I mean,
They want they want him there. They want him there.
Okay, we'll
He's
see.
beloved by the fan base. Oh, look, maybe
That's a sell
I'll
team.
eat
That's a
Crow
team
in
that I
couple
look
weeks.
at.
But I don't
So.
see them making a move. I think Miami is going to stand pat. I think they're going to try and wait for somebody to be available in the buyout market. I don't think they look at Boogie as much as everybody wants to build up that possibility. I just don't see it happening.
I think they're
So I wanna
active as
combine
fuck in the
that-
buyout market. I really do. Like, I think the buyout market is where you're going to see some changes, and I don't think Chris Silva is going to be here for very long.
Damn.
So I want to combine Jade's question with another Curtis Hero question because I think it kind of fits. On paper, Kristaps Porzingis wouldn't fit next to Bam. I know his defense has fallen off a cliff, but how much is he worse than Olynyk? He would give us a huge scoring boost. Thoughts?
Why doesn't he fit next to Bam?
No, he fit great next to Bam. I actually disagree with that. I think that his defense as a rim protector is actually exactly what they need. I think if anything, you can depend on him to help and defend the rim. I think where he struggles is when you put him kind of on ball and kind of in switching situations. Shout out to JC. But I think his shooting is going to be – I mean, it's just a contract. I mean, Miami doesn't have the horses to get in a trade discussion for that. And I don't think that's realistic, but I mean, he'd be great here. What are you talking about?
Yeah, he'd be great next to – I think that's a perfect fit next to Bam. The guys that I don't like, Ramil just brought up Boogie. I don't like a Boogie next to Bam. I don't like a Drummond. I don't like any – Bam needs to be next to a guy who can and is willing to shoot threes. That was the biggest that's the biggest reason that guys like Jay Crowder and Kelly Olynyk thrive next to Bam, because they are willing shooters. Like, shoot all the time. Like, that's why I don't get mad when Kelly goes 2 for 9, but I understand why he has to go 2 for 9. He has to shoot the ball to create the space to make Bam work.
What about Bielitsa from Sacramento? Is that somebody that you could see
into the
fitting
trade
there?
exception. He's
And
a good
I like
backup
that
four.
idea.
They don't have to play Andre so much there. That'd be nice.
That's my thing, Ramil, and I love the fact you brought him up, because you get to rest Iggy a little bit, and it gives you a lot of the same things you get out of Kelly, and you just get you don't have to play Kelly too much. You have another backup for it. Saves Iggy for situations where you really need him. Like, Iggy just needs nights off, like just straight up, just DNP old. Like, he needs some of those, and he can't get them because he's legit your only backup power forward.
Yesterday was a good game for him though, Alf, because like Toronto plays really small. They play without a center for most of their time, so that was actually a matchup that's not that tough on him physically.
No, but I mean, you know,
Is he going to play against Utah? I mean, is he going to go there against Derek
sure.
Favors and Rudy Gobert? Like, what happens
and Royce
then?
O'Neal.
That's
physical as fuck.
and that's where a guy like Bielitsa would help you.
Just
Because not necessarily defensively, but it just gives you it spells Iggy a little bit.
What a classic head-to-head battle that was between Bielitsa and Olynyk. That was great. Playing for each
Positional
other.
dominance, rotational dominance is what I call it. Okay, so two more we can get out of here. So I actually really like this one, and I think Alf will really enjoy this one too. Jose Lopez Varela asks, why is there such a disconnect among Heat fans when it comes to Tyler and Duncan? It seems like a large segment of the fans are quick to throw Duncan under the bus for his struggles, yet Tyler and his bad shooting flies under the radar? Is it the drip?
Hell yeah.
Drip drop. Shout out to Moose.
It's the drip. He's just a more relatable player, I guess.
He doesn't look goofy.
I'm not
He doesn't look goofy.
He doesn't look goofy. He looks more the part. But
he wears a
really,
shooting sleeve. I think that matters. I think the shooting sleeve makes fans think that he's like, if Duncan wore a shooting sleeve, I think we'd be thinking of Duncan differently.
What and somebody pointed out that Tyler is younger. He's cheap, and he's going to be cheaper sooner. And he does more. He's not as one-dimensional as Duncan is. Well, and I will say this unequivocally: Duncan is a better defender than Tyler Herro. Like, I'm tired of that. Of those guys being lumped together. Duncan is a better defender than Tyler, but Tyler's a 3-level scorer and Duncan is a 1-level scorer. So I think that's why the shooting woes, if they're both shooting poorly, Tyler can do something else, Duncan can't. And I think that's why he gets a lot of backlash.
Yeah, no, that's all fair. And look, I mean, you covered games last season. You saw what Tyler does in that arena. Like, I have never seen anything. Even Dwayne didn't elicit the same kind of response. Every time Tyler had the ball in his hands, it was this holding this breath, anticipation, and waiting to see what he was going to do next. It was ridiculous, honestly, because for a rookie, you don't expect that kind of level of attention and devotion. But he earned it. And I mean, look, he came up big in the clutch, something that Duncan hasn't done. So I think that's another part of it too. Is he kind of gravitate more towards an exciting player that hits big shots and just seems to have the balls and willingness to take those shots. It's not Duncan going through re-screens and trying to get that dribble hand up again. You know, it's not the same level of offense. I'll give me the fucking ball. Yeah. Exactly. I'll take the ball. I'll make something happen and I'll get it done. Yeah, and the shooting sleep.
And the
Ramil, I used to comment that his mid-range jumpers would elicit ooze from the crowd. And
yeah,
I've never seen that before.
Yeah, 15-footers. Oh wow, that's amazing. Yeah,
because it always looks pretty though. That's one thing about him.
The step back dribble, the behind the back. I mean, he's got a hell of a good handle. I think that's underrated in his game.
He's smooth as shit. The little scoop shots, like he's doing them jelly layups. I used to yell at my kids for when I was coaching middle basketball. Like, jelly, shut the fuck up and just go off the backboard, you asshole. Like, I mean, he does that shit in the middle of a game and it's beautiful.
Okay, Nate Duncan.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm a rugged traditionalist.
Black Nate Duncan over here. Okay, last one
nerd.
By Caesar V. Yeah, nerd. Forget about school. Depot. How about the Heat go after Wall? Guessing they'll take expiring Goran is probably done. Last year was a fluke. Wow. And Herro is no point guard. Wall can help you be competitive with Bam and Jimmy and allow you for some depth. So I want to take this one first.
Please.
Please.
Yeah, I mean, Wall's a dude that can't shoot, and especially he's an on-ball player, which means that Jimmy, Bam, and Wall together are non-shooters, and then that makes you for sure you can't play Andre anywhere near them. So that's part one of why I don't like that. Part two, I mean, that's a lot of money for a long time. That's
it. That's the only reason. Like, even if he's a great fit here, you don't take on that contract. We had this discussion.
If Steph Curry had that contract, you make it work. But this is not.
Okay.
This is
That's
John
fair.
Wall,
yeah,
man.
but it's Blake Griffin. It's Russell Westbrook a couple seasons ago.
They wouldn't trade for James Harden. They're not gonna. The perfect guy was already there, and he's not here. So I'm not in on that. I think John is really good. I think he's having a good season in Houston. I think defensively he's fucking awesome. Shaky 3-point shot.
It'd be fun to watch, maybe, but not at
get you out of the
$40 million a year. Yeah, I mean, I don't.
And the dude has it. Like, whatever Jimmy has, John has it. And we've seen the playoff battles that he's had, the Celtics and the Raptors. Like, the dude is a baller. He's fucking awesome. And Zach Lowe said this on his podcast a while ago when they were talking about Beal and John and the Wizards, kind of that era. That was never an easy team, and that was never an easy playoff out. And they fucking played hard. And they made you earn it. And those two guys together were terrifying. And John is still a good player. He's looked good since coming back. I'm really happy for him. I just don't think this is the fit for him. And he's not a supermax. He's not a supermax. And I think that the lack of a spot up shot compounds their offensive issues. I think he's good, but it's not for this team. I don't know if you guys have anything to add, but
I do not. I don't. I just feel also, if I can add to that, like the conversation about Blake Griffin, people are advocating for trading for Blake Griffin, and it's like,
that's ridiculous. If it's a buyout, it's a different conversation. Yeah, buyout only.
I just it's not hard.
I was about to say, oh shit, Ramil's coming for my neck.
No, I don't mean to shout anybody out here because it's just go to Basketball Reference, go check out their contracts. It doesn't take much to figure it out, but you don't want to pay Blake Griffin in this current iteration $40 million a year. It's just, sorry, it's not going to happen.
It's buyout or nothing with Blake.
I don't. Maybe.
Can they get George Hill? That's the one I want to see. I like George Hill.
He's got another year left, but it's partially guaranteed to June 30th. So he doesn't. If you waive him before June 30th of next season or this season off season, then you only have to pay him $1.2 million for next year. So he's not. It's basically a 1.5 season rental if you can acquire Hill.
That sounds great.
I like it.
What are you talking?
I love that idea.
And it's talked about a lot. I mean, Miami can flip pick protections, and they've done deals with Oklahoma City in the past. They, that there is a synergy between the front offices. So that's I mean, George Hill and Mike Muscala. Not sexy, but could absolutely help them.
Oh God, come on! You want Muscala on this roster?
I don't really want Muscala, but if you're kind of rummaging around what they have, I mean, that's what's going to be available to them. So,
all right, last question. I gotta go.
No, that's it. We're done. We are done.
More.
No, I read the Depot one, right, and I read the drip one. Yeah, that was it. We're done. Look at that. Good job. Good job, us. Got through our questions. Shout out, by the way, kite on our Patreon. We're going to be doing this once or twice a month, depending on how many questions we get. You saw we didn't get that many this month, but we're going to keep doing them, and we love you guys. And we'll remind you on Twitter at MIAHeatBeat, patreon.com/MiamiHeatBeat. A lot of promotion today for us. A lot of asking you for stuff. But we love y'all. We love the support. This is legit.
A lot of panhandling. Speaking of panhandling, check out Hangover Time tomorrow night. All proceeds go to Healthy Mothers, Healthy Babies of Palm Beach County. Baskets for Babies. We'll have the Great Dose of Menudos on. We really anything
of the
you guys,
Deuces Podcast Network.
Deuces Podcast Network that has never actually released a podcast.
What are you talking about?